Has concern about civilians trapped in Qusair. They said between 1,000 and 1,500 injured residents are still in the besieged town of 25,000 people.
We could have saved this martyr if we had medicine and a secure evacuation route. This other one could also end up a martyr. We have hundreds of wounded in houses who are all potential martyrs.
Proof of this account is the lines of future graves already dug up and waiting to receive bodies, but those on the ground have to remain very vigilant because any funeral gathering is a potential target for Bashar al-Assad's army.
The Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan has accused the opposition and extremists of orchestrating the violence that has gripped major cities in the country. In a defiant speech before he left the country for Morocco, Mr. Erdogan said these protests would not be the Turkish Spring. Meanwhile, hundreds of people have been arrested by police. We have more in this report.
Istanbul's Taksim Square was relatively quiet early Monday after another night of demonstrations. There were violent clashes elsewhere not far from the square. The protest, which began as a small campaign against the development project, quickly spiraled into an outpouring of secularist anger against the Islamist government. There were demonstrations across the country in Ankara, Izmir, and other major cities. Demonstrators vowed to keep up the pressure against Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who they say is taking away their rights and freedoms.
They want to continue, they want to protest. It is no longer only about trees, it is about what people think, about the reaction to Erdogan's.
1,700 demonstrators were reportedly taken into custody during the 4 days of protests as police brutality prompted rights groups to denounce the crackdown. Erdogan remained defiant, dismissing the protesters as a bunch of vandals and extremists.
The main opposition party, the CHP, played an active role in this event. They have always been in solidarity with extremists. People do have a right to demonstrate within the constraints of the law.
Shrugging off the rising protests, the Prime Minister pushed ahead on Monday with a pre-planned 4-day official trip to North Africa. As he was leaving, fresh demonstrations had already started in Ankara, with police forces using tear gas to disperse the protesters.
We now take our second break.
Sabe, may mace. Laay do. Xamoon naa ni mooma. Ha? Warga tabaara ngi nii. Warga tabaara waaw moom la de. Warga wi sell na. Set na. Waaw. Wóor na. Amut pëndax. Xam nga ko de. Te warga wi. Nii lañ ko defare. Nga ne ma. Saay baal ma dolli champ boobu ba kaas bi gën a fees waay. Muy ye. Xoolal li muy sànni. Du li may waxatee ngi nii. Gañe napp télé. Loo gañe? Ah? Loo gañe? Yow da nga xamul ni warga bi ni mu sellee te neex xottu gi moo ko gën a neex mën ngaa gañ a télé waaw mën ngaa gañ a saaku ceeb mbaa bëteelub dawlin nga ne mën a gañ a welo nga ne ma te li ci gën a neex it waaw mën nga caa gañ a rajo warga tabaara moo gën ci warga yi gën a neex ci warga yi gën a silwise ci warga yi buuru warga yi buuri warga yi
warga tabaara bi nag ku ko bëgg fi ci Gàmbi da ngay dem fuñ naan etin pictin warga tabaxa buuru warga yi.
Welcome back. It's time now for the weather report, courtesy of the Central Forecast Office.
The source assures us of a continuous flow, and from there, everything follows. And for those of us who know what the River Gambia stands for, understanding its sustainability in all aspects of life is easily confirmed. The River Gambia provides nutritious delicacies as food, while it provides its wildlife a balanced ecosystem. This river, as a sanctuary, is committed to its inhabitants' needs without season. And as you travel along, all these values are replicated in one company, Elton. Just like the River Gambia, leads in its commitment to values that matter most. Elton, championing the vision for a new generation.
Good evening and welcome to the weather segment, beginning with a summary of the weather during the last 24 hours, followed by a forecast. The Gambia during the last 24 hours was characterized by a warm and humid atmosphere, and rain affected parts of the country. The figures obtained as follows. Yenyambure got the highest with 43 millimeters of rain. Kau recorded 34 millimeters of rain. Sapo 32 millimeters. Fatoto recorded 24 millimeters of rain, Ginoy 12 millimeters, Kerawan recorded 6 millimeters of rain, and the lowest was over Basse with 2 millimeters of rain. And let's now take a quick review of the satellite image captured at 16:30 hours, indicating the presence of rain-bearing clouds over the central part of the continent, with small systems sprouting over the offshore areas of the Gulf of Guinea states. The north and the southern areas were mainly dry and stable during the period. For our forecast tonight, we're expecting conditions over the Gambia to be partly cloudy, relatively humid, and occasionally breezy. Tomorrow morning will be variably cloudy and relatively humid, becoming dry and warm in the afternoon. Winds will continue to be southwestern orientation, but generally light to moderate in speed. And morning temperature values will be 23 degrees Celsius over Banjul and Udum. We're expecting 24 degrees Celsius over Kerawan, Sibano, and Ginoy. The rest of the country will be either 25 or 26 degrees Celsius tomorrow morning. Top temperatures will be 30 degrees Celsius over Banjul. We are expecting 31 degrees Celsius over Yundum. Kerawan and Sibano will record 34 degrees Celsius, and we are expecting 36 degrees Celsius over Ginoy, Kau, and Sapo. Yenyambure will record 35 degrees Celsius, with Basse and Fatoto recording the highest, reaching 37 degrees Celsius tomorrow afternoon. We are expecting low tides of 0.4 meters at 12:34 a.m. and 0.6 meters at 12:58 p.m. The high tides we're expecting tomorrow will be 1.5 meters at 17 minutes past 7 a.m. and at 21 minutes past 7 in the evening. The sun will rise at 6:34 and will set at 30 minutes past 1900 hours. That was the forecast. Thank you. Until we meet again, you have a very pleasant evening. Good night.
And before we go, a reminder of our headline-making stories once again. The Association of Local Government Authorities has bolstered efforts at enhancing participatory local governance at the grassroots with a seminar on the Urban Governance Index for ward councillors in the Carnifing municipality. Egypt watchers are hinting at the possibility of a constitutional crisis after the Supreme Constitutional Court declared the body that drafted the country's constitution illegal. Turkey's Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan has blamed extremists and the opposition for the raging street protests in cities across the country. And the battle for the strategic Syrian town of Qusayr is continuing between government troops and their backers and rebel forces. That brings us to the end of this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Stay tuned and enjoy GRTS. Until then, I am Abubakar Dabo.